last but not least, I need a trick. 'Cause I'm wrong.
Pay great attention because the rumors that are currently circulating seem to be the kind that strike like lightning and paralyze everyone. Reports are spreading quickly, bringing well-known figures back into the public eye and appending an already sensitive story. Online rumors indicate a
Trick. Woo! Papoose is out here looking for a trick. And he got one. Yes, beautiful girl. Beautiful. Gorgeous girl. Y'all ain't gonna tell me Claressa ugly. I'm sorry, she's not. Don't care.
dramatic turn of events that no one anticipated, shocking followers. The response has been immediate and intense. Timelines are brimming with theories.
Accused of doing some of the same things Diddy has been accused of, so I don't care. Everything but the baby mama. Everything's alleged. My name's alleged. I'm just saying that's what the baby mamas are saying. The gorgeous one. And she cleans up well. Looking a little bit like
theories, feelings, and disputes that won't stop. Even when nothing has
I'm sad to report. Because here's the thing. The Christmas thing, we gotta go back to 2025. I'm so sorry about this, y'all. We gotta rewind it back. I gotta do one spin for this. We gotta rewind it back, okay? So the Christmas thing had me bothered. Had a lot of y'all bothered.
been verified. These reports state that an allegation has surfaced that casts doubt on everything individuals believed to be true about the circumstance. Whispers imply that a purported prior affair has been brought up again, posing difficult and upsetting concerns. People are astounded by the timing alone, since this new viewpoint completely upended the story just when it appeared to be heading in one direction. As supporters raced to defend, critics moved in closer, and casual onlookers found it difficult to understand.
Let's go. Same way he was holding the camera for Remy Ma that she claims that he was not with on Christmas Day when they was in the store. And when this video came out and they put it in my DM and I posted it, the owner of this fur coat store,
what they were witnessing. Emotions ran high. The speed at which public opinion is changing adds to the intensity of this moment. Every element of a previous relationship is being scrutinized under a strong glare. Screenshots are being analyzed and old interviews are being replayed. Not because the facts were made obvious, but rather because conjecture filled the void. The family was left split in the court of public opinion. Many people are just overwhelmed by how quickly the narrative has escalated, while others feel the claims are intentional or reckless. Verifying what is true is not the goal of this. This is about figuring out why these stories have sparked such a frenzy and why so many people are picking sides before there are any answers. The outcome is seldom peaceful when rumors mix with relationships, history, and public people. The internet is currently holding its breath to see who will react next and whether this turn of events will alter everything, according to the most recent reports. Tasha K is hinting at a startling turn of events that completely reframes the discussion. There are rumors that a purported former relationship between Claressa Shields and her ex-fiancé is being brought to light with shocking ramifications. The internet is treating these reports as a major development, even though nothing has been confirmed. Within minutes, comments began to stream in, with some viewers calling for caution and others demanding answers. Just the timing has drawn criticism, partly because earlier rumors had already put pressure on all parties. The way the storylines are colliding is what gives this situation an explosive sense. At the same time, relationships, loyalty, and trust are being questioned. Fans are looking for hidden meanings in every phrase, watching previous interviews and scrutinizing social media posts. Despite the lack of official confirmation, people's emotions were running high as they started to take sides. The public's perception of the family was split. with critics alleging motives behind the accusations and supporters fighting in comment sections. Declaring what is true or false is not the point of this. This is about realizing how quickly a rumor can spread when it combines sensational commentary, past relationships, and celebrity. Everyone is keeping a close eye on the story as it is currently being written in real time by reactions alone. Wondering who will react, who will remain silent, and whether this unexpected turn of events would alter the plot once more. The discussion didn't start with a proclamation or an announcement. Instead, it began with subtle online whispers that soon became more audible as well-known figures were brought back into the public eye. Tasha K reportedly made a statement during commentary that a previous relationship involving Claressa Shields was being re-examined, which sparked a heated argument on its own. The framing of these charges questions what many thought was a settled chapter, which is why fans are shocked, not because anyone has come forth with confirmation. People's emotions were running high as they realized that this was a multi-layered story, based on unresolved tension and ancient history, rather than just another rumor traveling between centuries. As the conversation grew, focus turned to Claressa and her ex-fiancé, a person many fans hadn't talked about in a while. According to rumors, this person is now being brought up once more as a footnote, but as a key character in a brand new plot that is being promoted online. Given that these reports surfaced at the same time as other rumors were already circulating, some pundits felt that timing was crucial. Viewers questioned whether the past was being purposefully brought up or if it was just collateral in a bigger media storm as a result of the overlap. Papoose's name was brought up almost immediately, albeit indirectly rather than explicitly. Online commenters questioned how these allegations may impact his relationships, public image, and standing in a precarious circumstance. Commentators claimed that this was the point at which fans started to genuinely separate. His fans hurried to defend him, arguing that the present shouldn't be defined by old rumors. However, detractors contended that unresolved issues encourage examination, despite the fact that no one had made an official statement. The family was split in the court of public opinion. The way purported timeframes were being assembled heightened the tension. Interviews from years ago were replayed by bloggers and reaction channels, emphasizing seemingly innocuous moments. In the eyes of spectators seeking clarification, a pause here, a smile there, became proof. As these videos went viral, people's emotions were strong, and they insisted that patterns were now clear. Others fiercely objected, cautioning that looking back can skew memories and give meaning to things that don't exist. Commentators imagined discussion fueled the flames. Some depicted possible private chats as passionate conflicts. According to one account, Claressa was caught off guard by the revelation of her history, while according to another, she was ready for this level of scrutiny. Reports state that neither version can be verified, yet they both spread quickly and were repeated thousands of times as if repetition might make conjecture become reality. Friends and colleagues were also drawn into the conversation based on presumptive responses rather than their own remarks. According to reports, phones were ringing. Many were advising silence while others wanted to reply, and inner circles were uncomfortable. Fans pictured conflicts taking place behind closed doors, with people raising their voices and venting their emotions. Commentary films
She got it. It's the $308,000. Okay, so there's a second tax lien. For $309,856.83. I can see that. You can just add it up. You just add it up. You say go back because it say Willie Mack, y'all. You see how I say Willie Mack at the top, name of who? Taxpayer. Willie Mack, but he ain't paying no taxes, so he shouldn't be.
Films frequently use terms like fans are shocked and emotions ran high, which reinforced the idea that something major was happening even in the absence of facts.
The reason I think that there's some tricking going on here is because when Papoose and Remy were together doing an endorsement in a fur coat show store the other day, she seemed very happy to be there. When I found her tax record.
The stakes increased as the story progressed. Some viewers present
Remy currently has $622,474.76. Guess who gonna pay it? Guess who's gonna pay it?
The scenario as a test of allegiance, wondering who would support whom if these allegations persisted. Others emphasize the emotional cost, contending that persistent conjecture can be harmful regardless of veracity. Online discussions said that this was no longer simply about one accusation, but more about how celebrity amplifies every rumor and puts individuals on the defensive. The lack of government reactions developed into a narrative unto itself. There were various interpretations of quiet, ranging from avoidance to dignity. Reaction channels discussed whether speaking up would make the situation better or worse. Fans awaited a post, a live appearance, or any indication that the reports would be directly addressed. Up to that point, conjecture filled the void, becoming more complex with each recounting. All of the feedback made it evident that many viewers' past wounds had been reopened by this circumstance. While younger audiences attempted to piece together context from shards, longtime fans felt drawn back into a tale they believed was done. The family was split along assumptions rather than assertions, and each side was certain that their interpretation made the most sense because of how persuasively the arguments were made. Even those who advised caution acknowledged that they were uncomfortable. The story continued to change throughout the day, influenced more by reaction than by fresh material. Every comment and repost brought a new dimension to a narrative that was primarily imagined. Reports state that this was the point at which the anxiety really settled in, not as a cliffhanger, but rather as a somber mood where questions remained unanswered. The discussion continued to be intense, passionate, and based on conjecture that would not go away. After those initial reactions, the pace did not slow down. Rather, it intensified as more commentary channels started including their own interpretations. The conversation turned from what was being asserted to why it was being pushed so hard at this specific time, according to continuing reports. Fans began to wonder if the goal was to control a story before it developed naturally or to clear up any confusion. People's emotions were running high as they discussed motivations. Some claimed that past relationships were being used as a weapon for clicks, while others countered that unresolved questions always lead to conjecture. Online responses vividly depicted hypothetical talks. Commentators recounted instances in which Claressa may be confronting friends, inquiring as to how something so intimate had reappeared. Others pictured Papoose silently handling the criticism, while considering all of his options. The way these events were presented gave viewers the impression that they were true, even though none of this was verified. Fans are astounded by the speed at which imagined dialogue may influence perception, particularly when it is presented with assurance and dramatic flair. The past started to serve as a continual point of reference. Timelines were recreated, old pictures were republished, and small elements were seen as significant hints. Chatter claimed that even remarks that had previously been encouraging were now being seen as indicators of something more serious. Fans who had various recollections of the events became tense as a result of this re-examination. Some were defensive, arguing that history shouldn't be altered to support a rumor. Others supported the theory, arguing that patterns that were previously overlooked were now visible in retrospect, even though they weren't directly involved. Family dynamics also entered the discussion. Commentators conjectured on the possible reactions of family members behind closed doors, picturing worry, annoyance, and tiredness. The public's impression of the family was split, as viewers projected their own experiences onto the circumstances. People's emotions were running high as they discussed whether loved ones should speak up or remain silent, knowing that both options could draw criticism. Throughout these conversations, Tasha K's commentary continued to play a crucial part. Her tone and language were reportedly scrutinized nearly as much as the claims themselves. Her followers applauded her for not letting stories pass quietly and for posing challenging questions. She was accused by detractors of conflating criticism with accusation. Fans are astounded by the power of a single voice to shape the course of a whole story, particularly when ambiguity allows for interpretation. As the plot developed, viewers imagined discussion became increasingly passionate. Some imagined a private altercation in which tempers erupted and trust was called into doubt. Others envisioned a more peaceful conversation in which miscommunications were cleared up and boundaries were established. Expectations of how the actual individuals involved should behave were shaped by the widespread circulation of these imagined moments. Every imagined reaction became a benchmark by which silence was evaluated, causing emotions to run high. The discussion went beyond the initial assertion as the hours went by. The main topics of conversation were privacy, respect, and accountability. Viewers debated whether public persons should respond to rumors, or if doing so just encourages conjecture. Commentary claims that this argument brought to light a wider rift in fan culture, with some calling for openness and others supporting moderation. Once more, oblique references and presumed responses drew friends and associates into conjecture. An ambiguous post here or a well-liked comment there was interpreted as proof of loyalty. The ease with which little online behaviors can be transformed into proof astounds fans. People's emotions were running high as they accused others of blind loyalty or betrayal based on scant information. The financial aspect also made an appearance in the story, but it was suggested rather than proven. Commentators questioned whether the rumors were affecting prospects, contracts, or money. As viewers discussed how much personal drama should affect work settings, this created an additional level of stress. Reports state that because livelihoods were now being discussed alongside relationships, this conjecture made the issue feel heavier. The lack of clarity persisted throughout all of this. The audience had to fill in the blanks with conjecture as there were no formal statements to end discussions. The family was left separated by notions rather than facts, by perception rather than reality. Fans are astounded by how rapidly certainty may develop without proof, and how difficult it is to reverse once it has taken hold. The debate had developed a life of its own by the time it got to this point. What started out as a claim presented as criticism has grown into a broad conversation about public image, history, and trust. Emotions were strong because questions continued to arise rather than because answers were discovered, with each fresh voice lending weight to a narrative still based on hearsay. The story continued to advance, propelled by reaction and imagination. As the discussion continued, the emphasis gradually moved from the initial assertion to the emotional impact that these allegations often cause. Viewers were responding not only to what was being said, but also to what it may be like to be at the heart of it, according to persistent rumors. The speed at which mistrust and empathy may coexist is astounding to fans. People questioned Claressa's past decisions as if they were entitled to answers, while at one point they showed concern for her tranquility in the remark. The notion of an old relationship reappearing held significant emotional weight. Online voices explained how memories might unexpectedly be brought back into the present, unlocking previously closed chapters. Some speculated that Claressa was taken aback and questioned why a prior relationship was being presented as pertinent once more. Others pictured dissatisfaction escalating into rage, particularly if the story seemed unjust or inflated. The conversation became very personal as spectators projected their own experiences onto the scenario, causing emotions to run high. Papoose's moniker remained popular due to presumptions based on silence rather than overt declarations. Some followers reportedly saw his silence as a sign of maturity and thought it was the best course of action to stay silent. Some see the same quiet as avoidance, implying that rumors that remain ignored will only get louder. Fact that 1. Action or lack thereof can be interpreted quite differently depending on who is viewing Astound's admirers, through contrast rather than direct involvement. Remy Ma's position was also brought back into emphasis. Commentators argued over whether the perception of current rumors should be influenced by the strength of the public in the past. While some contended that history demonstrated resiliency and clarity, others questioned if unresolved feelings from past chapters might still have an impact on the present. Online perception of the family was split due to the layering of storylines on top of each other rather than actual strife. Imagined conversations persisted and became more passionate. As the narrative progressed, viewers recounted instances in which boundaries were pushed and trust was called into doubt. In one hypothetical conversation, Claressa expressed her dissatisfaction with her name being in headlines, while in another, she stressed maintaining composure and resisting the need to become entangled in pandemonium. Even if none of this was true, the sentimental tone was persuasive enough to change people's minds. Even though these imagined experiences were hypothetical, they felt relatable, which caused emotions to run high. Chatter claimed that friends in the circle were also being closely examined. People looked for indications of distance or support, viewing presence as loyalty and absence as proof. A simple silence turned into its own narrative. The ease with which neutrality can be reframed as treachery in online settings astounds viewers, particularly when drama thrives on defined sides. Additionally, the discussion about credibility grew more intense. Some viewers questioned why some voices were trusted more than others, and whether the reception of current criticism should be influenced by previous issues. Others contended that, regardless of veracity, debate itself frequently attracts attention. Fan communities reportedly became tense over this argument, with allegations of bias flying both ways. People's emotions were running high as they passionately defended their favorite sources. Akin to rivalries in sports, once more, financial ramifications were alluded to through fear rather than evidence. Commentators wondered if persistent rumors could affect future prospects or brand partnerships. This viewpoint increased the narrative strain and made it seem more like a threat to stability than gossip. Even in the absence of proof, fans are astounded by the speed at which conjecture may spread into areas that impact livelihoods and careers. A recurrent subject was the emotional toll of ongoing public scrutiny. Viewers talked on how living under scrutiny can increase tension and anxiety, particularly when one's past is constantly brought up. Some fans reportedly voiced sorrow and urged everyone concerned to put mental health ahead of public explanation. Others disregarded these worries, claiming that public life entails public scrutiny. The family's differing views were a reflection of a larger cultural gap over accountability and privacy. Fatigue started to manifest in the crowd as the conversations got longer and more complex. While some commenters acknowledged that the constant hypotheses exhausted them, others appeared motivated by every new perspective. Because there was no conclusion to the story, just more questions, emotions were running high. Every update pause was loaded with conjecture, and every rumor was regarded as a hint that needed to be figured out by this point. The story was more about the rumor cycle itself than it was about a single assertion. Viewers reportedly began to wonder how stories get traction and why certain names are always involved in scandal. The speed at which comments can escalate and turn ambiguity into presumptive knowledge astounds fans. The narrative persisted because attention would not let it stop. Not because new information became available as the conversation neared its peak. Focus turned to how these reports would affect all parties in the long run. people started questioning whether this moment will subtly fade or permanently change how each name is seen, according to online conversation. Fans are astounded by how fast perception may shift, particularly when persistent conjecture begins to seem plausible. The emotional impact of frequent headlines can leave lasting effects even in the absence of confirmation. Once more, Claressa's imagined reaction took center stage, this time through absence rather than words. Commentators argued about whether quiet was an indication of weariness or a show of strength. While some viewers contended that silence permits stories to spread unchecked. Others felt that remaining silent preserved her tranquility. As supporters argued about whether strategy was more effective, emotions were running high, demonstrating how committed people had become to an unsubstantiated narrative. Papoose's involvement was still examined using hypothetical responses, body language, and previous interviews. Some followers reportedly watched old videos again in an attempt to find previously undiscovered clues. A smile from years ago was translated as concealed anxiety, and a serene tone in one interview was now viewed as contrived. When a new story takes hold, fans are astounded by how quickly context may be altered, even though Remy Ma wasn't specifically acknowledged. Her influence hung over the conversation like a shadow. Viewers imagined what it may be like to have old ties reappear in public, speculating about emotional boundaries and personal dignity. While some felt respect required clarity, others thought strength meant disregarding the cacophony. Opinions within the family were split, reflecting deeper discussions about public image, loyalty, and closure. In comments places, the intensity of imagined talks peaked. In one scenario, Papoose insisted that rumors had gotten out of hand, while in another, Claressa demanded that her name be taken out of reports. Despite being entirely hypothetical, these scenes evoked strong emotions as though they were real, because many spectators recognized the real-life tensions in these imagined encounters from their own experiences. Emotions ran high. Once again, the reliability of sources became a contentious issue. Chatter claims that some fans started to wonder if being exposed to contentious criticism on a regular basis dulled skepticism. Others contended that challenging narratives is beneficial even if it causes suffering. Fans are astounded by how easily trust can be established or undermined online, frequently in the absence of proof and instead motivated by tone and repetition. The topic of accountability within fan culture itself also came up. Viewers questioned if discussing unsubstantiated news is harmless entertainment on its own, or if sharing them does harm. Some urged others to exercise moderation and to keep in mind the human side of the news. Others disregarded these worries, claiming that public figures are used to being scrutinized. As moral duty entered the discussion, feelings were running high. Once more, financial and professional repercussions were envisioned as potential hazards rather than actual results. Commentators conjectured about how a protracted debate may impact public opportunities, collaborations, and sponsorships. Regardless of the veracity of the reports, supporters are astounded by how they may undermine accomplishments, despite the lack of official pronouncements. This viewpoint increased the urgency of calls for clarification. Many spectators became weary as the drama went on without a conclusion. While some acknowledged they were sick of constantly updating their accounts, others stayed riveted in anticipation of a turning point. This weariness, according to reports, demonstrated how rumor cycles can deplete both listeners and people at the center of the storm. The family was split between those who thrived on suspense and those who wanted closure. A more comprehensive analysis of the nature of internet drama surfaced as the story progressed. Viewers started talking about how quickly attention can go from one headline to another, frequently leaving unfinished tales behind. When a new topic emerges, supporters are astounded by how fast apathy may replace indignation. This insight reminded everyone of how ephemeral public attention can be. adding a sad tone to the conversation. Ultimately, the story served as a mirror reflecting how rumors arise, travel, and alter perspective rather than as a verified fact. Emotions were high because uncertainty promotes creativity rather than because facts were known. Ongoing rumors said that the situation remains suspended in conjecture, with each quiet being understood and each response magnified. As the cacophony persisted, many observers realized that attention itself can become the most potent force in the realm of viral tales, influencing narratives long before reality had a chance to speak. Before we conclude, keep in mind that all of the topics covered here may be found in online conjecture, analysis, and reporting. No official declarations have resolved these discussions, and nothing has been verified. However, the response alone demonstrates the potency of stories once they reach social media. Fans were taken aback, feelings were running hot, and the public's perception of the family was split, all without satisfactory explanations. That in and of itself speaks a lot about the world we live in today. It's your chance to enter the discussion now. What are your thoughts on the way these reports proliferate? Do you believe that silence lessens the tension or exacerbates conjecture? Are these tales just a part of contemporary celebrity culture, or are they going too far? Everyone seems to have a unique viewpoint, and your input is important in influencing that conversation. Make sure to like this video so that additional people who are following the same story see it. If you thought this breakdown was interesting and would like to keep up with similar analysis as it develops. To avoid missing upcoming updates, in-depth analyses, and shocking turns when fresh reports emerge, subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, please share your honest thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think additional revelations are on the horizon, or do you think these charges will go away? Be courteous, remain inquisitive, and never forget to challenge what you hear before accepting anything as gospel. Till the next time, pay attention, remain vigilant, and continue to observe how these tales develop in real time.